And we're live. Okay, we have no one watching.
Great.
So I'm just going to pull up, have our tasting notes at the ready. Should probably close all this stuff. Yeah, this is a lot. Let's see that. Okay, we got one person on. And we'll just wait a few more minutes before, we got 2 minutes before 4, so we'll keep on going there. Let's see. Okay, got the master notes. Ooh, that person left, so it's just us. Oh man.
They're like, F this.
Okay. So Tyler, what are your Thanksgiving plans? You staying local? You going to your families?
My sister's actually doing
Oh, nice.
Thanksgiving.
Is she in Sonoma?
Yeah,
Okay.
just outside of Sonoma.
Nice.
So
Nice.
she's a good cook. She's gonna probably make lots of tasty little dishes.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Yum. Yum, y'all. Oh, we got one person.
Hello, one person.
Hello. Feel free to enter the live chat to let us know you're here. Could be one person with 20 people watching on their screen.
Oh.
Be a big watch party. And, let's see. Okay, well, we're going to wait another minute or two before we get into things. And worst case scenario, we got no listeners like we do right now. And then we just share the video for people to watch at home.
Oh, so nobody's watching right now?
We're back down to 0. That's correct.
Okay.
Okay.
Where do you see that?
Right there.
Oh, yeah, next to the people icon.
That's correct. So, let me see if Caitlin can see that. Okay.
It's like as soon as they log in, they can, oh, we have a person again.
Okay, we got one person. It's just turned 4 o'clock. Let's wait until 4:02.
Sounds good.
Start getting into it. So we got 2 people on. Okay, you know what? People are prompt.
Oh, up to 3.
Okay. Well, people are trickling in. So welcome everyone to our Members Live tasting. We are just gonna wait a couple more minutes as more people trickle in. Talk about some wines from the Member Shipment with Tyler.
Yeah, it's going to be a super awesome, fun time.
That's right. Okay. So Tyler, what do you kind of went into this before we had no listeners. What are you doing for Thanksgiving?
Gonna be having Thanksgiving with the family at my sister's house, very local. I grew up in Sonoma and my sister lives in Sonoma, so should be lots of fun.
Good.
Lots of good food, lots of great wine. Yeah.
Cool.
My mom, hopefully she doesn't get too crazy. It's been known to happen.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
There's always one in every lunch.
Yeah, she's the wild card.
Go mom.
And Carrie, how about you?
I will be in Texas, West Texas. That's right, guns blazing. With my boyfriend's family. It's really fun. They're great. All of them are good cooks. We do a fried turkey every year and a regular turkey every year.
Make sure your turkey's thawed.
Yes.
Don't put it in the deep fryer
yeah.
inside. I've seen videos, horrific videos of that.
I think at this point, we're pros at the fried turkey.
I love
it's
it.
a great excuse for people who want to contribute to just dip it in, watch it for 20 minutes, and then take it out.
I did a fried turkey in college, and looking back, I'm like, how did 4 dumb drunk idiots in college not burn a house down doing a fried turkey?
Yeah, that's a risk you take, and I'd say more often than not it's fine, but things do happen. It's when you got a hot vat of boiling
oil. Yeah.
Things happen. Maybe not California, not a great place to mess around with hot oil. Things on fire. All right, so it's 4:02. We've got a few people on. We could just get on started. Okay. Oh, we've got one person texting and letting us know they can't find our live. I would
Oops.
just go and get to the Trimble page of videos. Well, I guess you just go to our, is there a tab in our page for live? Little technical difficulties, thank you all. Oh, we got 4 more people going, 5, okay. Great, more people are trickling in. Maybe we just, we were ahead 3 minutes. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's just start some introductions. Tyler, welcome.
Thank you.
For those who aren't familiar, this is Tyler, our wine club and shipping manager. So chances are, if you're watching this, you've probably interacted with Tyler on some level.
At some level. Yeah, it's been a fun challenge coming over to Trimble, learning a whole new process and new software and new wines and everything in between. I did one of these live streams with Peter. When was that? April, May?
Probably April-ish.
Yeah.
The last member shipment.
Yeah. So if anybody was viewing that, you kind of heard a little bit about me, but I came from Minor Family Winery. I was there for 6 years running their membership program there, and then started here in March. And so just been learning, everything kind of Turnbull from the ground up, which has been great. The coworkers great. The wines are awesome, as you guys know. Just really happy and excited to be here. So it's been a lot of fun. Hoping to be here for a lot longer. And thank you for bearing with me and, helping me get through this, my first shipment all alone. So
you did a great job, and we're pretty much wrapped up with our fall member shipment at this point.
Yeah.
If you live in a warmer state, you probably held your shipment for weather purposes and wine safety purposes. But it's a great time of year to tuck into some good wines as we get into colder weather, the holidays.
Absolutely.
This lineup was a particularly good lineup for all of our members, whether you're a Winemaker Society member in the red or mixed club, or a cab collector with a case of our 19 Black Label, and or a classic club member, or our old school members who've been with us through it all. As a person who writes all the emails and the tasting notes, I was very pleased with this most recent shipment.
Yeah, it was an awesome selection of wines. There was a couple common denominators, if you will, between the shipments, which is what we've kind of selected from, just to kind of cover all our bases, depending on who's watching and what tier you're in. But yeah, it's just Oakville Reserve, which is the crowd favorite for a lot of people. It's really a wine that you can't beat in terms of quality and price in Napa. And then specifically the 2018 vintage went out in the shipments, and it became so popular just based on its, reputation as just a solid wine for the price point, but also we did promotion, or we call it a promotion, right?
Tasting. Promotional. We were selected by Karen McNeil. It's a Cabernet icon of hers to taste that wine, and she's no small name in wine. No. So I think when people saw that she was tasting our 2018 Oakville Reserve and lining it up to some of the great, compatriots in the industry, I think that wine saw some well-deserved popularity, and here we are, on to the next vintage. Yep. 2019.
Yeah, so we're going to be tasting a 2019. If you guys are pouring wines alongside us and you're opening in 2018, we'll be tasting different wines, but still also very similar in style. And then the 3 other wines that we picked, 2 2019 cabs. So we did the Amonis Vineyard Cab up in Calistoga, and the Leopoldina Cab, which is just east of us in the Vaca Mountain Range. And then last but definitely not least, we have our 2019 Black Label, which our cab collectors actually got in this last shipment. So if you're not in the cab collector tier, you'll be seeing this wine in 2022. So,
yeah. It's a great lineup, and it's a great highlight, I think, of all of our vineyards. We'll kind of get into the details of where these wines come from and kind of their makeup. But I guess we can just go ahead and get started.
Should we get into it?
Let's get into it.
All right.
Let's see. We'll start with the 2019 Oakville Reserve. So if you have the 18 on hand, this is a great wine to open up and taste with us. Look at that color.
Beautiful.
You know what we don't have dump buckets, Tyler.
Oh, darn. Gonna have to dump it down my mouth.
I'm known for dumping, so we'll.
All right.
Okay.
Carrie, you do you.
Okay. So 2019 Oakville Reserve, 48 barrels produced. Everything we do is actually very small production, which I don't think everyone quite realizes. I know that's one of the hallmarks of all of what we communicate is that we are small production, but 48 barrels isn't actually very much when you think about it.
Right. I think just based on where we are in Napa, our proximity to these like really big producers, and specifically, Mondavia is right across the street, one of our closest neighbors, and they're doing million cases a year or more. All of our wines where we kind of focus on doing quality over quantity. I think that's one of Peter Height's mantras is he's not going to try and do anything that we're not trying to be anyone that is forcing us to make wine in a certain way or make wines because the market dictates it. He's making wines that he wants to drink, and he's always said, if you've ever tuned into one of these, he always says that like he makes wines that he wants to put on his dinner table and that he feels comfortable doing that. So here we are.
And that's certainly this is one of those wines. And if you're drinking the 2019 or the 2018, just so you know, they're both wines are from the Leopoldina and Fortuna vineyard. The actual percentages kind of change year to year. The 19 is mostly from Leo and a little bit from Fortuna, about 60-30, whereas the 2018 was actually about the same, now that I think about it, on both 100% cab. So this is, for, a wine in that price point to have 100% cab from Oakville.
Pretty crazy.
Kind of insane. And already this is, whether you're drinking the 18 or the 19, they're both young wines, but I think both show incredibly well for being young wines.
Oh, yeah.
And we've decanted these wines, just so you know, with our menu decanters, which we have here at the winery. You can get them on Amazon. They basically accomplish in 2 minutes what a 30-minute decant would do for your bottle of wine. We're able to pour it back into the bottle for added entertainment, and that obviously really helps to open the wines. But I think with this wine, with Oakville, it's kind of all about that red fruit lift.
Totally.
Get a little bit of Fortuna spice box tones. So as our winemaker Peter would say, if you can imagine opening up your grandma's spice cabinet that may have been left unattended to for a while, that kind of sweet, savory, umami. Clove,
sage,
ginger, sage, cinnamon, nutmeg. It's all going on in Fortuna like that.
All those crazy, all those elements are in there for sure.
And so that finish just goes on and on and on. This is great with the steak, but also just really nice to enjoy on its own.
Okay, so given the timing of this tasting, if you were to, not talking the 19, but let's go just based on memory and recollection, the 2018 Oakville Cab, as some people watching are going to pair these with Thanksgiving dinners.
Yeah.
What would you think? To me, I'm a big savory guy.
Yeah.
I love doing some kind of bacon, Brussels sprouts with this.
Yeah, I was gonna say we do at my boyfriend's family's house because they're from West Texas, where the Tex-Mex is really good. They do a bacon fig wrapped jalapeno. So the jalapeno is in the fig, and the bacon's wrapped around it, and you throw it in the oven. Oh, and there's some cheese in there too. Must be a camembert cheese. It's an elaborate little bite, but it's amazing. If you like spice, it's a little spicy, does kind of cook off, and it's the fat kind of balances that spice with the fat of the cheese and the bacon. But I think that'd be really good with this.
Totally.
Yeah.
Just shouldn't even brought that up. It's going to make me hungry and
No.
yeah.
Well, it is the time of year to get hungry.
Yeah. Indulge.
That's right. We've been a month of indulging. Yeah, I think this is just incredible. And you could certainly lay this down for, I mean, we always say our wines, 5 to 8 years from the vintage date are in their prime, but you could definitely put this down for 10 to 15 years, 20 if you're feeling patient enough. But
yeah,
life's a little short.
I am always a terrible person to ask when I've gotten, fielded emails or phone calls, people asking about, what dates to open some of these wines, and I'm always telling them tomorrow. I don't know, like I like my wines on the young side, and I, like Carrie said, like not to be morbid, we don't know what's going to happen to us, next week or tomorrow or whenever. Like these wines are meant to be enjoyed, so
And I heard someone wise once say, when you go, think about people who get access to your wine stash. If they're not deserving of it, then you should be the one drinking it.
Yeah, there you go.
That's one of the few guarantees we have in life. So we all go at some point. Let's drink good wine while we're here.
Yeah, you don't need to, there's no point like, nickel and diming it and having these, grocery store bought wines and, bust out the good stuff. Well, you can.
Life is short. And, I think at these price points, it's an easy way to treat yourself. And for this Tuesday night, gosh, it's only Tuesday. For Tuesday night, this is I think a solid wine. You can not feel so bad about opening.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, you want to talk, maybe get started the next wine while I slowly finish up?
You don't have to finish it.
Well, we don't have a place to help it, so I can go excuse myself, but I don't want to be rude. So
yeah,
you keep talking. Tyler, tell the team about you've got a very interesting family history with Napa Valley.
Yeah.
Sonoma / just wine country in general. Do you want to get into that a little bit while we're waiting for you to slowly drink this?
Sure. So a little bit about me, not to make it the Tyler Show, or as I am referred to here at the winery, the T-Bone Show. That's my nickname. It always has been my nickname. So if you ever visit the winery and you hear somebody yelling out T-Bone, they're probably referring to me. But in any case, I actually am a local guy. I grew up over in the other valley, Sonoma Valley. So where we're situated right now, or I guess where we're always situated, is west of us. Mm-hmm. And that's where I was pointing, by the way, it was west.
Okay.
Yeah. So the valley over there.
It's a little bit backwards on the webcam, so
yeah,
that way.
Anyway, you guys get the point. I grew up in Sonoma, and my dad has actually been a grower in the Carneros region on the Sonoma side. Carneros is a unique AVA, and if you're not familiar with the term AVA, it stands for American Viticulture Area. We are in the Oakville AVA, and what that denotes just means that this particular region is distinct for that's grape growing. So that it's climate, it's elevation, it's soil type, even history of farming practices that come into play, and that all leads to these designations. So Carneros is actually that region right in between the cities of Sonoma and Napa. And it's unique in that about 70% of it is in Sonoma County and 30% is in Napa County. So Turnbull, because we are all a state and we're getting all our wines from vineyards that we, have control over and we own, we don't make any wines from Carneros. But if you were to have wines, from Carneros, it would most likely be Chardonnay, mm-hmm. Pinot Noir. Those are the two varietals that grow very well there. And sometimes you'll see Napa Carneros on the bottle, or Sonoma Carneros, or just Carneros. It's all coming basically from the same place. Mm. So to getting back to my family, my dad has been growing there since 1982. So we grow Chardonnay and Pinot Noir and a really cool varietal called Saint Laurent, which
you're one of the only growers in the state or in the country.
We are the only growers of it in the country.
Wow.
So mostly is grown in Austria and the Czech Republic. has a kind of a similar climate to Carneros. So my dad introduced it about 20 years ago, and it's slowly but surely kind of catching on in terms of popularity. So that's kind of my background growing up. I moved away out of Sonoma to go to school, like not too far away, just a couple hours north of Sacramento. And then wasn't involved in wine at all. I was kind of in the mindset that wine was dumb and something that old people drank, to be young and naive. But I had a chance to come back home, if you will, about 7 years ago, and kind of get immersed back into wine. So that's when I started at Minor, and then here we are now at Turnbull, and it was a great decision.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a lot of things for a typical scenario for vineyard and winery kids to eschew the family tradition and then eventually come back.
Yeah.
Peter has the same story or similar story where he went off and thought he was going to become a bicycle shop owner.
Yeah.
And here he is, a prominent winemaker in Napa Valley.
I think he actually did buy a bike shop.
He might have actually bought it. I don't know if he still has any stake in it, but
I don't think so. But I want to say he actually bought it and was being that bike guy for a while. So
good for him. And look at him now. He's speaking wine.
So it's definitely a cool industry to be a part of. It's not all glitz and glam all the time, but what is? There's definitely way worse jobs to have than be here in beautiful place, drinking amazing wines. It's not all we do, even though some people think that's what we do.
This is not every day.
Yeah, far from it, but it's still cool, and I feel fortunate. I'm sure you do too.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. I've been here for 5 years, and it doesn't feel like 5 years. It's been a really fun job. I think everyone at Turnbull can attest to that, and we're in a beautiful setting. So I'm not. There are worse places to be stuck.
Totally.
I like to say.
Before we get into the next wine, does anybody have any questions about the Oakville Reserve in general?
We have a live chat, so feel free to type in your questions to the chat. I'm looking over here at my computer where we do have the chat box open. So if you have any questions, let us know. If you're trying to email us while we're talking, it won't get that. I have the email closed, so it doesn't make any little ringing noises. So if you have any questions before, during, after, the chat works. Otherwise, you can always just email us. And at this point, you probably have Tyler's email, tyler@turnbullwines.com, and Carrie, Carey, @turnbullwines.com. You get all those million emails from me. That's what I do here. So next up, we have our 2017. There's a debate how to pronounce it.
Yeah.
Amonus, Amonis.
I say mostly Amonis, I think.
I hear a lot of Amonis. I was told Amonus.
Oh.
But I don't, who is a Latin scholar here? I'm not sure. It is a Latin word. Loci, Amonus, Amonis, Aminus, however you want to pronounce it. It's a Latin phrase or term for pleasant place. But there's kind of this hedonistic Garden of Eden undertone with that term. So I think it's a nice play on what actually is going on at the vineyard, which is a gorgeous but kind of just mysterious vineyard up in the foothills of Calistoga.
So if I assume that most people who are watching have been to Napa Valley, in the very least been to Turnbull. So Calistoga, if you haven't been there, is just north of St. Helena. As you know, the Napa Valley is not a very big valley at all, but as you go north, the valley continues to kind of bottleneck. So when you get into Calistoga, you have both the Vaca and Maicama mountains that have kind of closed in on you. It almost feels like you're in.
A handy map if you'd like.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know if that helps.
We could do the map thing. And it's just, Calistoga in itself is a very cool town. If you're in Napa, it is completely different in terms of, just setting and feel. It almost feels like you're in the middle of the mountains when you're not. But the Amonis or Aminos vineyard is just north of the city of Calistoga.
Make sure I'm looking at this. Yeah, so it's about right here. If you're looking at the map. We are right about here, based in the middle of the valley. So this is a good 20-25 minute drive north of our home ranch vineyard here. So it's tucked away. It's a gorgeous vineyard site. We have about, planted acres, I think about now maybe 70 planted acres, 100 total acres up there. And we make our kind of well-known Napa Valley Cab. The majority of those grapes come from that vineyard. Fun fact that cab got number 6 out of Wine Enthusiast Top 100 wines. The 2018 vintage, which we are actually sold out of, which is the irony of when you have these wine writers taste your wines and they taste them a year, or two before, and by the time they talk about them, they're sold out. But I think that just goes to show Turnbull's a popular wine and people like it. And when our distributors can get their hands on the Napa Cab, they do, and then they sell it and it sells out.
When Carrie, among many things that she does here, she does a lot of the marketing and works with these wine reviewers. And to get that kind of praise and notoriety for one of her wines, like just the other day, we found out about this news and she came barging into my office and she was like beaming ear to ear, like super ecstatic, because that's like
exciting.
It's very exciting.
To get on the radar of a lot of these writers. I mean, they have thousands of wines that they get submissions for. So sometimes being the squeaky wheel is good, and also just having really incredible wines is even better. And we're the top American wine on that list,
which is crazy.
And the Napa Cab, not that we're tasting it, nor do we taste it at the winery, because that is something that we make to kind of introduce everyone to Turnbull on the wholesale market. It's a steal. It's a $50 to $65 cab depending where you are, and you can ask for it in your local wine shop, and it's just it's a kick-ass cab. There's a much more eloquent way to say that, but
I think kick-ass is perfect.
It's a great wine. It's kind of like a baby sibling compared to the Oakville Reserve. So if you like our Oakville Reserve, go to your local wine shop, support your local small businesses, and ask for the Napa Cab, and they'll call it in, and you can enjoy Turnbull even when you run out of your wine club wines.
Yeah.
Hopefully that doesn't happen, but if it does happen, it's a great alternative.
Yeah.
But back to the Aminos Vineyard Cab.
Yeah. Just on the nose itself, like there's such a stark difference between the reserve and then something that you have. It's not, I don't know if Aminos is considered like, a mountain vineyard, but it's definitely got this hilly terrain. It's got, lots of, I think Peter takes everybody from Turnbull on these vineyard tours, and they're very educational and very cool to kind of see these sites and have him, kind of talk about each one. And as I recall, Aminos has like these very porous, almost volcanic rocks that are laying about. And it's like Carrie said, it's kind of a rugged place, kind of magical. It's got redwood trees and like,
it's beautiful.
I mean, just like when you are smelling this wine, it's almost like it kind of transports you to like almost like forest floor.
Yep.
Kind of earthy, like herbal,
deciduous tones.
But it's also got like some kind of floral elements in there too, like violets and things like that. So it's almost like this beautiful like harmony, yin and yang between like kind of rugged and very delicate and light, almost feminine, if you will.
Yeah, and Aminos Vineyard, like a lot of Calistoga vineyards, has this kind of classic Calistoga Bane cherry quality to it, where it's this kind of, there's this nice, almost, I hate to use the word tart, but a tartness to it that, it's symbolic of the youth of the wine, but that fruit density that you get with this wine is of, the single vineyards, one that I think ages almost the nicest. because we've had, some 1007. I think the earliest I've had is maybe a 2004 Minas cab, and the fruit density stays. And that's not that the other wines don't, but I think Calistoga gets a bit of a, dampened attention or maybe reputation in the Napa Valley. And Oakville's the prominent, kind of one of the premier AVAs in Napa, but Calistoga is one to look out for.
Yeah.
It's a little bit farther and tucked away, and sometimes the things you have to work hardest to get to are the places that make the best wines.
Yeah, I think you nailed it on the head. Calistoga is definitely under-recognized. I think, especially for people who, don't really know about it or aren't living in the, immediate area. I'm talking like, the Bay Area, and you don't come here as much. You kind of have a game plan when you come, but next time any of you watching do decide to visit, like going up to Calistoga and checking it out if you haven't been is really great. I'm all for the Turnbull wines, but obviously there's a lot of other good wineries up there that are doing great things in Calistoga. So definitely worth a visit, or just come here and ask for the Aminus and get a little bit of Calistoga pouring into your glass.
Absolutely.
So,
and it's just if you have any questions about the makeup of the wine, this is 100% cab from the Aminus vineyard. So pretty much every single vineyard cab that we make from Aminus is always 100% cab. So we've had 2 100% cabs in a row, which is, it's kind of rare.
Yeah.
But, it's just that good that we don't really need to blend it with anything else to kind of soften or accentuate any other flavor profiles with it. So that's Aminus. And I think this is, I always want this. I root for the Aminus cab because it doesn't always get the attention that the Applebean and Fortuna do. I mean, those 2 single vineyards certainly warrant all the recognition they get, but because for the very reason that we talked about, Calistoga being under-recognized, it's nice just to promote it anytime we can.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think what you said about, it being 100% cab, Peter, his mantra is, to kind of let the fruit and the vineyard speak for themselves, and to not feel like he has to blend anything into this is kind of, that's a testament to the vineyard and what it can produce. I know there's a lot of elements at play there. I know it gets like fog.
So the kind of diurnal temperature shifts. It stays pretty cool up until about 10 in the morning.
Yeah.
And if you can imagine, a curtain pulling back on this Napa Valley, we've got fog coming in through the Bay Area and through the Choctaw Gap here, also from the Pacific Ocean. A curtain pulling back the fog. Oakville is the first area to get sunlight, and Calistoga is one of the last places where the fog burns off, and it kind of it lengthens the ripening process, and those grapes get a lot of good hang time. Yeah,
because if I'm not mistaken, I believe that's our coldest vineyard.
It is, yeah.
So lots of time to develop the flavors and the fruit itself, and that definitely translates to a very complex wine, and it's one not to be ignored for sure.
Yeah.
So.
We actually had a question from Jason and Mary Lena. Hi guys, good to hear from you guys.
Hello.
They're coming up to Taste on Friday and pick up their fall shipment. Good,
Great.
Love it. Will there be a Cab Franc or Merlot released again next year?
I don't know offhand about that. Sometimes those things are hit or miss. To your recollection, I know.
So
I want to say there's a 19 Merlot.
There's a 19 Merlot, and that will go to our members only.
Yeah.
We also will have a 2019. We get used to talking in kind of slang terms here. A 2019 vintage Lagrein next year as well.
That's going to be really cool.
That will be for our members only. So the Merlot and the Lagrein are 2 of our kind of focused single varietals for our members. Merlot will just go into the shipments, and we really won't have anything outside of that for purchases outside of your shipments, but the Lagrein we will, and that is a cool. If you've ever had a Bon Vivant, which I'm sure all of you have tried at some point, That is a really great winemaker's kind of proprietary red blend that
Mhm.
always features the Lagrein. That's kind of the backbone of that wine. So if you like Bon Vivant, you're gonna love Lagrein. It's a really cool grape. It's I learned a little bit more about the backstory from the guy who smuggled it into the States.
I like it already.
Back in the 70s, there is a wine grower and producer here in the Napa Valley. His name is John Caldwell. He brought in Lagrein clippings from, gosh, it must have been in Austria or somewhere in kind of northern Italy. That's usually where it's found. He brought those clippings back with him in through Canada and down to the States in the 1970s and had them grafted and sold to a few kind of experimental, growers and other fellow producers. And the Leopoldina vineyard that we have, for some reason, whoever owned that vineyard at the time, it was called the White's Vineyard originally, planted a block of those vines and had the Lagrein growing on it. When Peter came on board, at some point over the many years that grape had been growing, we thought it was Malbec because it presents like Malbec. It wasn't until maybe, 10 years ago, we had someone coming in to do a survey of our vineyards, and the enologist, or maybe the viticulturalist, was thinking, actually this is not Malbec, this is something else. And they had it genetically sampled and tested.
Did a little DNA testing.
And it was Lagrein. So
cool.
Yeah, Lagrein is a really cool grape. It's got this great oomph to it without, it's hard to describe. It's just really different from anything that we do. It's different from any Bordeaux varietal that we grow.
Right, and being primarily a Bordeaux house, the Bon Vivant and the Lagrein, which I can't speak to because only being here for less than a year, I haven't had a chance to even try it. It is super, super limited, but I'm very excited about it because I am such a big Bon Vivant fan. And when I first came to Turnbull, not as an employee, but just as a regular guest, a fan, a customer, what I fell in love with was the Bon Vivant. So getting a chance to try the Lagrein is going to be very exciting. So.
Yes, it will be. So we'll have that next year. So long-winded answer to say we will have Merlot and Lagrein.
The 19 Merlot.
The 19 Merlot.
Yeah.
So, we only make those single varietals when our winemaker Peter feels that there's no doubt that we have to share it with everyone else. If he doesn't, feel like it's worthy of its own kind of place on the stage, he would rather just use it as a blending varietal, but it's a testament to how good that varietal is in that vintage when we make a single varietal offering. So I think it's something to look forward to.
Well, and just real quick, not to get away too much from these wines that we're tasting right now, but just to speak about the Merlot, because you guys asked about it. For any member who thinks that they don't like Merlot, I would really just try and hammer in just give it a chance, because Merlot has gotten a lot of bad publicity. It's kind of like there's a stigma behind Merlot and it not being a good wine. So if a Merlot is done well and the Turnbull one is delicious, it's a fantastic wine. So please, in the next coming shipment, don't say, oh, I don't want Merlot, because I guarantee you're going to love it if you haven't had it before.
This is a really terrible, it's a great anecdote if I remember all the details correctly, but Peter has an anecdote where a very famous French winemaker, whose name escapes me, so it almost defeats the purpose of telling the story and giving credit to the Merlot, but a very famous French winemaker known for his Merlots. If anyone listening or watching can think of the winemaker's name, feel free to drop it in the chat box. Long story short, there was a tasting, a big industry-wide trade tasting where French winemakers and American winemakers exchanged wines and had this tasting. And Peter brought a bottle of Merlot for this winemaker to taste, and he said it's the best American Merlot he's ever had.
What?
And that was in the 2013 vintage. And since 2013, we've made 2014. 16 and 19 3 vintages. So Peter's not, he's a discerning winemaker. So if you can compare it to 13 and it be just as good, if not better, it's a good sign for an urge for you to try the Merlot. So I wish I knew more details. I shouldn't share anecdotes. I don't know all the details too, but it's very good.
I mean, I guess I kind of have one too. Without like naming names, I heard a story from one of our wine educators who was hosting a group of people, and one of the ringleader of the group didn't want any Merlot. It was on the flight of that particular day that they were visiting, and they got the Merlot, and this gentleman's like, "Oh no, skip the Merlot, I want another cab." And our wine educator was like, "Are you sure? Because our Merlot is effing fantastic. You should give it a shot." And he's like, "Nope." And so our wine educator was like, "Okay," and walked inside and ended up pouring the Merlot anyway, and brought it out and left the bottle on the table. And he wasn't like trying to, dupe them. He was just trying to prove a point. And he left the bottle on the table, and this person drinking the Merlot was like, "Oh my God, this is an exquisite cab. Oh, this is amazing." And the friends that he was with, that he was, I guess, trying to impress, looked at the bottle and like, "Wait, dude, this isn't a Merlot." And the guy turned beet red and got super embarrassed. So the point is, we're not trying to embarrass people here at Turnbull, but at the same time, like, don't give the wine a chance. Never say that you don't like something. Kind of like that whole don't judge a book by its cover.
Do you know my grandfather used to say to us as kids? He'd say, "Oh, I don't like that." He'd say,
I thought you were going to compare me to your
grandfather.
No.
He would say, making dinner, "I don't like cheese on my pasta." So he'd say, "You don't know what you like." And sometimes I think in a lot of things in life, you really don't know until you try it.
Yeah.
So, So on that note, trying something new.
Yeah.
2017 Leopoldina Cab.
Yeah.
This is another single vineyard wine from the 17 vintage. 17 vintage was an incredible vintage. I think it doesn't quite get the attention it deserves because of the fires that came at the end of harvest. Fortunately for us, we were 96% picked. Whatever we had left, we just left on the vine. And it was a great vintage. If anything,
that was 100 point black label,
that was
right?
100 point black label came from that vintage. The 17 vintage is incredible. It will age very, very nicely, and these wines have had some nice time to age too. So it's nice to kind of taste them. I mean, we're going from 19 to 17. It's a nice kind of way to.
I didn't pour you, but
I poured.
Oh, okay. I missed that.
All good.
Just trying to look out for you.
Oh, thank you. No, you were talking, and I was like, oh, I'll pour myself. The 17 Leo, this is kind of like a 17 black label in a sense. The 17 black label is mostly from Leopoldina that year, so it's a nice way to kind of taste it from a slightly different perspective of the Leopoldina vineyard. This is a hillside vineyard, so this gets, kind of all the magic, pieces of grape growing, which is elevation, incline, western facing sun exposure, volcanic soils, just kind of the works.
If being in the vineyard, it overlooks the entire valley, but also specifically, the Oakville area. And the vineyard itself is planted, and it's got these just extreme grades. The vines really struggle under those conditions. It doesn't retain a whole lot of water, so the vines are basically, they're putting out less fruit, but what you're getting in that fruit is just like very magical, special vineyards, and it's why a lot of winemakers are so excited and geek out over these mountain vineyard sites, is because of the ability for the fruit that's produced there and the wines that they translate to.
Yeah, so. No, it's an incredible vineyard site, and we're so lucky that we have it. And this is the 17 Leo, 28 barrels produced. So
once again, very small
production. The fact that we can number our barrels in general is usually a good sign. Leo, that's a big wine. That's a big cab.
It's weird. It seems funny for me to say that, like, I'm not necessarily the biggest cab drinker all the time. And, I think that the Turnbull cabs are all excellent. I think like working in Napa and going out and trying all these places, you kind of get a little bit of Cabernet Sauvignon fatigue, if you will. I've kind of compared it to like if you're a beer drinker, which I also am, it's almost like, everybody does an IPA. And so kind of like cabs can kind of get lost in this like sea of other cabs. But like when I came here and I tried these Turnbull wines, these Turnbull cabs, I'm like, oh my God, like these are incredible. And like, so when you have one that really is distinctive and really stands out, you have something special. And Leopoldina is definitely one of those. Out of, I think, of our single vineyard cabs, I think, Leopoldina is my favorite. I don't know. It's just, it does something for me.
Well, it's got lift, it's got energy, it's got this kind of driving body across the palate, but it's also kind of dark and hedonistic, and you would think that something so dark and inky would be kind of heavy, but it's really just it's exquisite. It doesn't feel like you're drinking this big bold cab. It almost is.
Yeah, that's a great point.
You can pair it with a big steak and baked potato and have yourself a classic pairing, but you could also just enjoy it on its own.
Which I have been known to do.
Me too. Yeah. Sometimes when you get home from work, you just don't feel like cooking the steak and baked potato. You don't have the patience.
Yeah.
You'll just go right to the whatever's in the fridge, and if you have some Leo at home, this is. I realize it's a unique problem to work at a winery and sometimes have whatever's left over from the tasting rooms.
Yeah, have these incredible cabs you can just drink, whatever. But
that reality is not lost on me of what's kind of out there.
Yeah, it's a perk of the job, if you will. So,
but no, it's a gorgeous, and it's got this nice kind of tobacco-y kind of dark. I keep saying dark tones, but tobacco, black pepper, clove, anise. I mean, that's mostly coming from the barrel tones, but man.
Yeah, it's doing this lineup, it kind of reinforces, that not one particular wine is going to taste like any of the others. You might be in places where all the wines kind of taste the same, which is there's nothing wrong with that. But I think all these wines have like a very unique identity and they stand out on their own, which is something that's really cool for Turnbull and for you guys as members is, you're not like getting all these different wines that are just basically all taste the same. It's like you can take these wines and you can drink them and enjoy them under different circumstances or meals, and like, it's really cool, I think.
Yeah, and it's something, it speaks to also how our philosophy on our barrel program. We want the vineyards and the grapes to speak for themselves, and the hard work that our team puts in to grow these grapes so beautifully. The barrel, as Peter, so eloquently describes, it's like the light and sound production at a rock concert. You would notice it if it wasn't there. It wouldn't be a rock concert without it, but acoustic's always cool too.
Yeah.
And it's really just about the music at the end of the day, which is the grapes, and the rock concert is the barrel. But it's that wonderful factor that if done just right, it's an incredible experience. And I'm not a fan of the cabs that you have this over oaked, vanilla, heavy, syrupy kind of wine that I think are the oak tones are so subtle but really integral to this wine, that without it wouldn't be Leo, but it does let the grapes kind of speak for themselves. So
and not to speak ill about any other producers, Napa or otherwise, but I think when you come across a cab or another wine, then when you just have that over extracted, over oaked wine, you kind of think to yourself like, okay, well, what's wrong here?
Yeah.
What are they trying to hide? Because that's a very easy, common way for winemakers to kind of mask some of the flaws with the fruit, or just subpar winemaking. None of that happens at Turnbull. You're getting representation of the vineyards themselves and the quality of winemaking. And it's, I mean, you know, we go the extra mile in that sense, I think.
We do. I mean, there's, everything is about, the quality of what we're doing, not the quantity of what we're doing. And I think when the focus is on quality over quantity, it shows. I mean, it's like this kind of trite expression, like quantity or quality over quantity, but sometimes those expressions, those cliches are cliches for a reason, and the proof is in the pudding. So a great cab.
Yeah. Okay. Before we get into the signature, the black label. Once again, any questions from anyone? Did anything pop up?
See. Just from Jason, thank you guys for pitching in the question. Looks like you're drinking the 2017 Cab Franc. Yum.
Nice.
That sounds incredible. Do you want to talk to Cab Franc while I grab my computer charger? And
oh, are we?
We are running low. It had been plugged in, but wow, that's can't have that.
Well, Cab Franc, that's a great choice to be drinking. Another wine that kind of similar to the Merlot that we don't have all the time, but it's a really special wine when it is available, and not to be ignored by any means. My father-in-law, he comes to Napa quite often, and probably his favorite wine to drink is Cab Franc. And when he had a chance to come and visit Turnbull earlier this year, I was like, well, I gotta like rustle up a bottle and pour some of this for him because he's gonna love it. And not surprisingly, he fell in love with the Turnbull Cab Franc, and so 17 Cab Franc, that's an awesome choice.
No, I think it is. The Cab Franc is a cult favorite here at Turnbull. Trying to think, we have the 11, 14, 15, and 17.
Yeah, but I don't know if there's 19 on the docket.
I don't think there's 19 on the docket.
Yeah.
If there is, it's a nice surprise bonus wine.
Yeah.
But that's a great choice. I think you guys will enjoy that. And if you wanted to put a cork in it for tonight and enjoy it tomorrow, it'd be just as good.
Absolutely.
That's a great Thanksgiving wine, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of different. I think people at the table might not be expecting that, but it's always a hit.
Yeah.
And it's got this kind of like herbal, roasted sage kind of tone that goes really nicely with like a baked potato, mashed potatoes.
I was gonna say like mashed potatoes or yams or something like that would be really good. All right.
Black label.
So if you guys are following along with us, or if you have a black label open, most likely you have an 18 vintage or something else other than this, because this only got released to cab collectors in the membership, and it's slowly kind of getting out there in the world. But we're really excited about this one. Not to say that we haven't been excited about every vintage of black label, but us, Peter in particular, he is geeking out over this wine. He is.
The 19 vintage is, I think we kind of repeat ourselves every year, like this is the best vintage ever, but you don't really know what the next vintage is going to bring, and until you experience it, it's even better. That's the kind of perspective we have to work with, and we're very excited about this vintage.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't want to be too confident about this, but he thinks that this is going to be like the next potential 100-point black label. He's that excited about it. So for him to be the winemaker here for 13, 14,
15 vintages.
And for him to crank out some truly already 100-point black labels and 100-point scores and this amazing wines, for him to be like, this is the one is pretty cool. So
it's very cool. And even if it doesn't get 100 points, it's 100 points in our heart. It's an incredible wine, and it's just the aging potential for this wine.
Ooh, it's a sexy.
Ooh. It's got some pepper on it.
Big time pepper.
Yeah, whoa. that, now I'm gonna go home and make a steak. I mean, not to sound cliche, I do want to make a steak.
Yeah.
The nice Bernaise pepper sauce.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. Or honestly, this is a great, I think, after Thanksgiving feast. Forget dessert. This could be your final course for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
You really don't need it with anything else.
I mean, I'm trying to, just on the nose, like pepper and all that, that nails it for sure. And then I think it almost is based on the nose itself. It's kind of like you expect it to be this big, bold thing, but it's almost like this slight kind of subtle, just really refined, really like elegant wine when you put on first sip, and like it almost it's kind of like a shock to your senses, which is cool.
This is incredible.
Yeah.
As we joke about, we work in wine, we drink wine. We don't really get to taste these wines all the time.
No.
Working in an office, we don't always get to go down at the end of the day when they're wrapping up tastings and see what's left over. This is a real treat to be able to drink this this evening. That's a really good wine.
I mean, I kind of feel bad for you guys. We're drinking something that you don't have, so we're like rubbing your face in it. But the 18 black, it's gonna come, and the 18 black label, like that wine is fantastic in its own right. I think every year Black Label is kind of representing what the best that we offer to you guys, and it's kind of just a summary of Turnbull and who we are at our core, which is low intervention, really high quality estate wines that we are controlling every facet of from start to finish. From the farming and the harvest to the production itself and the barrel program. There's not one thing that we don't have our hands on, and this is kind of that in a nice bottled form.
It's our best of the best barrel offering, and fun fact about this wine, it's 99% cab, and then 0.5% of Malbec, 0.5% of Merlot, 0.5% Petit Verdot, and 0.5% of Cab Franc.
Yeah.
So it's a true Bordeaux blend, and it's basically a Cabernet Sauvignon, but it's got all the workings that kind of symbolize everything that we make in one bottle.
And I don't want to misquote Peter, so Pete, I'm sorry if I'm not remembering this correctly, but I want to say that generally when he is deciding what wines or what barrels are going to be going into the Black Label, it's kind of like he'll be tasting through and he'll pick, a handful and say, okay, yeah, these are the top 5, and these are going to be, blended together to be the Black Label. And when it came to 19, he goes, oh, yeah. These are like, wow, I have about 15 barrels to choose from instead of the normal amount. And of those 15, which are like going to contribute the most to this finished product. So this is going to be like it already is a really stellar wine, and give it a couple more years, it's going to just heighten with, age and complexity in the bottle, and something that you could lay down for, 15, 20 years or more. I don't do that. So
the patience factor.
No, because this is killer awesome right out of the get-go.
Really good wine.
Yeah. Hopefully we're pumping you up for this.
I don't see how we couldn't.
Yeah.
This is, maybe not. Maybe it doesn't translate. What I'm feeling right now is very excited about this wine.
Do you guys have any questions about Black Label or any of the other wines or any wines in general?
Not seeing any questions come through. Maybe we'll let people think on their questions.
Mm-hmm.
This was an incredible lineup. More to come. We're already planning our March shipment. So eyes on your inbox in February for that notification. But
real quick.
But we have some somewhat exciting news for you patient members who have kind of worked with us through COVID and this year being short-staffed, like so many of the industries where you guys work too. But we will be bringing back events in 2022.
Woohoo!
That's right. And with Tyler kind of at the helm of membership, I think we'll have some new events that we haven't either had before or had in a long time. From our planning, we are doubling the number of events that we've done in the past.
Also, woohoo!
Yeah, so get excited. As we kind of hammer out some details on our end, we'll put a calendar out to you guys sometime in February. So keep your eyes on your inbox. Promise to give you guys as much heads up notice before any event, but with double the events than we've done before, and it is
way more events than we did this year.
Yeah, which is quadruple the events we've done this year, but double the events in years past. It's we're very much looking forward to it, and they may look a little different. They might be a little bit smaller, a bit more focused and concentrated than in years past, but that is something that we've been looking to bring back. We wanted to bring back events this year, but like I said, short staffing and bandwidth. I think we if I can toot my own horn, our branding is pretty nice and serious, but it is a small team here. We have about 6 people in the offices. Am I missing anyone?
No, I think that's right.
So 6 kind of department heads, and then 13 tasting room, and that includes all tasting room, bar back, manager, concierge staff in our tasting room, and then we have 3 cellar staff, 4 kind of during harvest, and then 1 winemaker, and then about 8 full-time vineyard crew. So it's a small team.
All in all, very small.
Very small, and we want to do events, want to do them well. So we appreciate your patience with us, but we're very much looking forward to bringing this back in 2022. So
it's exciting times at Turnbull. Thanks to you guys and all your support. Continuing to support us through 2020, and then this year, it's been kind of a challenge to stay on top of everything, just with the demand, which we're eternally grateful for. But now it's kind of like next year, we're hoping that it's going to be kind of back into the normal swing of things, which means, as Carrie said, these events, which I know you guys are looking forward to. We're really looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we've got lots of cool things in the pipeline. So,
it's an exciting time to be a member at Turnbull. I think from a really weird time for all of us to kind of come out of the ashes, a little bit more with more perspective and more adaptability, and just kind of seeing what all of our members want from their membership, outside of these incredible wines. It's been a great time to kind of plan and think about what your membership looks like. So thank you for being members with us and sticking with us through this, like I said, weird time, difficult time for all of us. I think the light is at the end of the tunnel.
I hope so.
We're all boosted here at Turnbull, so hopefully, that means more things for us to do in the future. But thank you. And other exciting news, it is the holidays, so our holiday gift sets are very much in action. We have 1, 2, 3 more gift sets that we're releasing throughout the holiday season. So keep your eyes on your inboxes as usual. It's how we communicate with everyone, is through email. And we have a special members only Black Friday set coming out this Friday. There are only 50 sets. I'm not going to elaborate, or maybe should I, since we have some listeners.
If there's
for the lucky few.
Yeah, the lucky few.
We do have a members only trio. It's a bottle of 2017 Black Label, which we are out of, a bottle of our 2020 White Label, which we are also out of, and a bottle of our pre-release new non-vintage port, which we won't be releasing until next year. So,
which I've got to try.
We got to try last week, and Holy moly.
It is incredible.
I'm not a port drinker. Tyler is a port drinker. And I think both of our, opinions on port and both loving port or this port says a lot about, if you like port, you're going to love it. You don't like port, you're going to love it.
Yeah. I mean, and not to like get too far down this port rabbit hole, but I've had lucky enough to spend time in Portugal and try all these amazing ports. And these port houses have been around for hundreds of years, and tasting the Turnbull port, it's like that transported me right there again. It's like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah.
So
that's a pre-release bottling. We've only made 50 of those sets. Everything we do here is like a pre-packed set because inventory is kind of precious because we are a small production. So we have to, we start planning for holiday in March of that year. So we held back 17 Black Label, 2020 White Label, and port that was just bottled in anticipation of this holiday Black Friday release. And so it's 50 sets. When we sell out, we sell out. So for the lucky few watching, keep your eyes on your inbox. It will be sending out at, let me think of the time. I think 9 a.m. Pacific time. So it'll be on the website. If you've
I'll be here to take your orders. So
yeah, and it's a special set. I'm excited about it. It's the only way to get Black Label.
I'll sell you one.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I don't know if, there's a lot of people I'd like to buy for, but I know.
Yeah.
Who's that special? Maybe a gift from me to me.
There you go.
It's a great set. So, holidays in full swing. What else can we tell you going on here? Crush is over, pretty much.
Yep.
So we are done with vintage 2021. It was a great vintage. Actually, not that it's just better than expected when I say that. It was just, we always hope for the best, but it over-delivered in so many ways. We have a really healthy crop. The fruit's amazing, and everything's kind of barreled down now. And so our team's just kind of cleaning up the cellar and tidying things for the long kind of interim where we're focusing on what's going on in the barrels and in the vineyards in the off season. And pretty soon we'll be bottling the 2020 wines, which are looking awesome. They're actually looking really great. So we're very excited for that vintage. Then we'll get right on to vintage 2022, which seems too soon to think about, but I don't know. Time flies. This year's flown by.
Yeah.
So that's what's going on at Turnbull. If you have any questions.
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything else.
Do you have anything else?
No, I guess just kind of a sign off from me. Thank you again for being such great ambassadors and supporters of Turnbull and everything that you do to keep, our doors, figuratively and literally open. So
thank you.
I'm wishing everybody who's still watching, happy Thanksgiving, happy holidays, Christmas, or whatever else that you guys might be celebrating. Happy New Year if we don't talk before then. So, yeah.
All right. Well, cheers, Tyler.
Cheers. Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you for tuning in. And happy holidays, as Tyler said.
Yeah.
And if you have any questions, just let us know. We're Carrie, Carey, at turnbullwines.com, and Tyler, Tyler.
You need it. Yeah.
At turnbullwines.com. And thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Take care.
All right.